Hi, everybody. It's Terry Dawson. I'm back again. I wanted to come on as we're getting ready for the third week of the Dare to Live summer series. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about this whole concept of freedom. I hope everybody had a wonderful time celebrating the 4th of July holiday with your families. But I've been just kind of thinking and pondering over this whole subject of freedom. What does freedom look like? How will you know when you are free? Especially in the life of a believer, what is the measure of freedom and how is it accomplished in your life? That's a very important thing because a lot of us walk around and we project with our words, oh, I'm free in Jesus, but we're still bound in our minds. We're still broken in our hearts. We're still have situations in our lives that need to be healed and made whole. And we're not experiencing true freedom. What will it take for us to get there? I think about the passage of scripture in John 8. The passage of scripture in John 8. When Jesus says, you will know the truth and the truth will make you free. And I thought it was very interesting. The religious leaders of that time, their response was very arrogantly, we are descendants of Abraham, and we have never been enslaved to anybody. So what are you talking about? We need to be free. Jesus responds so beautifully. He said, he who sins is enslaved to sin. However, if the Son makes you free, you'll be free indeed. What does that take, though? Is Jesus going to pull out his magic wand and wave it from heaven, and now everything that's ever been a problem in my life is now erased and taken away? Nope, doesn't work like that. If you go to the beginning of that chapter in John 8, you see the story of the woman who was caught in the very act of adultery. And they brought her to Jesus so that they could test Jesus to see how he would respond. They said, Jesus, this woman was caught in the very act of adultery. And the law says she ought to be stoned to death. Jesus bows his knee and begins to write in the sand. I often wonder, what was he writing? I wish I could have been there to read that. Then he looks up and he says to them, paraphrased, of course, you're right. If she was caught in the act of adultery, the law does say she ought to be stoned to death. Let's do it like this. How about we do this? You who are without sin, you cast the first stone. It's so easy to look externally outside of ourselves and see the flaws and faults of others and where they need to be made free. Jesus takes the opportunity to says, turn that mirror on yourself. And why don't you look at you for a minute? And if you don't find any sin there, go ahead and cast that stone. And one by one, they all left the scene because no one had any right at that point to throw one stone at that woman. Jesus looks at her and says, well, where are your accusers? She says, I have none. Jesus says, and neither do I accuse you. I do not condemn you. He says, now you go and sin no more. Can we talk about that? Can we get to a place where we are looking honestly at ourselves and taking those things that the Lord will show us and present them to him and say, I'm messed up right here, Lord. Yours might not be sin. Yours might be some trauma from yesterday that you haven't been able to get over. Yours could be that your heart is broken. Yours could be that you're dealing with some kind of physical ailment and you're having a hard time simply trusting God. Let's look at it and let's get free enough to look face to face at ourselves so that we can present ourselves to the Lord and say, would you make me free? Because I believe your word that says, if you make me free, I'll be free indeed. Join us tomorrow 13206 North 7th Street at 7 p.m. If you're following us on Facebook Live, you'll be able to type in your questions and your comments, and we'll respond to you right there in the moment so that you can interactively be a part of our time. I hope to see you there. I believe we'll have a great time with God. Have a good rest of your day. Bye-bye.